Yes boys, welcome back to the channel, it's Erdtree. I've given my vampire build a new toy to play with. This was it previously. It's got the Lucerne, the Clinging Bone Fists, and in its left hand weapon slot it's got the Morgoth's Curse Sword. But not anymore, it's now got the Dragon Hunter's Great Katana. I thought this was a really good fit for this build, so I handed it down from my higher level build that I've already gone through the DLC with. This is only a level 40 build, but now it's got a new toy to play with for some invasions. The Lucerne has got the Blood Tax Ash of War, the Clinging Bone Fists have got the Lifesteal Fist, and then we're also using the Blessed Dew Talisman. So this is where the theme of being a vampire on this build really comes into play. It's all about stealing health from our enemies to keep our own health topped up. In our flask we've got the Dexterity Crystal Knot for a little bit more dex, and then we've got the Opaline Heart here, which is something I always use. But that's it for the build guys. I can't wait to test out this new weapon on this build. Low level invasions with the Dragon Hunter Katana. Let's check it out and see how it does. Okay guys, here we go. First invasion with the Dragon Hunter's Great Katana on the vampire build. So as I mentioned in the intro, this build is all about stealing HP from our enemies and keeping our own HP topped up through the use of Blood Tax and Lifesteal Fist on the Clinging Bone Fist weapons. The Blessed Dew Talisman also comes into play, giving us some slight health regeneration while the invasion's going on. But if you mix that together with the Ashes of War and our weapons, we're all of a sudden getting quite an effective vampire build, and it is one of my favourite builds. It's very strong at level 40. It's a hell of a lot of fun to play. I love the whole theme of it. I love the fashion, and as soon as I saw this Great Katana in the DLC, I knew that it would be a really good fit for this build. Now I know some people may think that this is cheating or maybe a little bit cheeky, and yeah, you know, it is a little bit cheeky handing a level 40 build a weapon from the DLC, but I don't think it's too bad. I don't think there's anything majorly wrong with it. It's not like this katana is doing more damage than Morgoth's Curse Sword was on this build. It's pretty much like for like. If you look at the damage output on both weapons, they're pretty much exactly the same. And if you look at the players that were fighting as well, you know, I invade people who are running around with over-level phantoms who are all using weapons from the DLC. So, you know, if you ask me, it's absolutely fine. It's not like I'm coming in nuking these players at low level with some of the crazy spells or anything like that. I think passing a low level build, a weapon from the DLC to incorporate into a theme that's already there, isn't too bad. I don't think it's that much of an issue, and like I say, you know, it's pretty much like for like with the Morgoth's Curse Sword. The Ash of War, you know, it's got that impact Ash of War which the Morgoth's Curse Sword had. It's just a little bit different, isn't it? It's very similar. It's just same but different. Do you know what I mean? It's not much of an issue, I don't think. Also with this build and this weapon, something I did really want to incorporate into it is that I wanted to use it in exactly the same way that I did use Morgoth's Curse Sword on this build, and that is to have it in the offhand in our left hand weapon slot. That's because I like to use it, you know, mixing it in with the primary weapon swings. It's very good for like roll catching and catching our opponents off guard. I love having big weapons in my left hand weapon slot. I use it on a lot of builds. I use this technique on a lot of different builds. I think it works really well, and this katana works very similar to Morgoth's Curse Sword did in that left hand weapon. It's long range, so it's really good at mixing into my attacks, and then I can two-hand it and bust out the weapon art every now and then to catch people off guard. It's basically just exactly how I used Morgoth's. It's just a different weapon. It's a different weapon class. It's a bit longer, but there's not much difference. Like I said, the damage is pretty much exactly the same, and it's being used in the same way, so I think all in all it's a very good weapon to have on this build. And like the Morgoth's Curse Sword, I absolutely love using it in the second weapon slot, for the main reason of being that it looks absolutely awesome when you can see it on our backs when we're actually two-handing the weapon in our right hand weapon slot. That was one of the reasons that I loved having the Morgoth's Curse Sword on our left hand weapon slot, because when you use it, when you don't use it, sorry, you can see it sheathed on our back like that, and it just looks menacing. It looks So good on the build from a fashion standpoint, having this big gnarly looking blade just ready to pull out and use at any moment. I just think it really suits a vampire. I think it looks like the kind of weapon a vampire would use. Morgoth's Curse Sword and this great katana both have that in common. I think it just looks like the kind of weapon that a vampire would use if a vampire had a weapon on his back. I could imagine it being a big, jagged, gnarly looking blade like this. So yeah, I just think it goes really, really well. I may actually do this on a few other builds. There are some weapons in the DLC that I've been thinking that might suit some of my lower level builds. But, you know, could I run through the DLC at level 40? I actually don't know if it's possible. I don't know how a level 40 build would get on in the DLC. So that's another reason for just handing the weapon down. I've got some level 30 builds that may suit some of the weapons in the DLC. I'm not sure. But, you know, it's just a way to give these lower level builds a taster of the DLC. Just handing them a weapon if you think it would suit. Plus, I've got a lot of other higher builds that I've got planned to do the DLC with before I move on to any lower level builds. I've got a lot of plans, you know. There's a lot of things cooking in my brain in terms of what I can do to some of my builds with the DLC. So this is just a quick way to give, you know, a particular build a little bit of something extra, and it just mixes things up while I'm doing the DLC on one of my higher level builds. I've actually started my second playthrough of the DLC now with one of my new builds in it, and I can't wait to show you guys what I'm cooking up. It's a build that is really going to suit some of the things that are available. It's a higher level build again, so it's you know, more suited to the actual DLC run through. But this was just something I wanted to do in the meantime for a little bit of fun while I'm working on the DLC with that build. It did take me a while to get used to this weapon. Using it in the offhand, it's really good at roll catching and doing some wide sweeping attacks and mixing all my attacks up. But when you two-hand it, you get access to a lot of running poke attacks, which can be really, really good. But then if you're not doing running pokes, it kind of opens up to a little bit of a different moveset. It's very different from what we've been used to, so it's taken me a while to get used to it. But once I started getting the hang of it, I started to realise when it was best to use it in my offhand, when it was best to two-hand it. As you could see there, it was a really nice little mix-up from the attacks with my Lucerne. Big sweeping left-handed attack caught that summon off guard. And look at this bench. That bench is my arch nemesis. It stopped me from getting a nice blood tax on that horse. How dare you? Absolutely disgraceful. But yeah, the more I used it, the more I realised which attacks were best suited to which situation. You could see there some nice use of the Clinging Bone Fist, the lifesteal. It's something I'm always looking to do on this build. Super good style points, and it's always ticking our health up, which is the main thing on this build that I'm looking to do. The Great Katana, like the Morgoth's Curse Sword before it, is there for impact, it's there for style points, it's there for switching to when I get rid of the other summons in an invasion. Then maybe I'll just whip out the Great Katana and two-hand it and try and finish the host off in style. It's variation and it's for good mix-ups, and, you know, it's just fun. It makes for a really, really fun build and fun play style. One other aspect to this build as well is that everything's doing blood build-up, minus the Clinging Bone Fist. They don't do bleed build-up, they're more for the lifesteal properties of this build. But obviously the Lucerne being blood infused and the Great Katana both do bleed build-up, so that's also something that can catch players off guard with this build. If they stay in the fight too long, they're taking a lot of chip damage. I often do get that big burst of bleed before they react to it and get away to try and heal up. As you could see on that summon there, the blood tax pretty much finished him off with a big bleed explosion at the end. And I'm just keeping the pressure on him now, trying to finish off his last little bit of health, and then I can just focus on the host. Running attack on the Lucerne did the job. Now it's time to style on the host in whichever way I can. When I've got a host down like this, I'll usually go to the Clinging Bone Fist and try and finish him off with a Lifesteal Fist. Ultimate style points. Really good invasion. I absolutely love this build. It's a real favourite of mine, the Vampire. It works really well, and it's got a really nice style in fighting. You know, it's got the Lucerne and the Clinging Bone Fist, which don't do a hell of a lot of damage, But like I say, it's got the bleed build up, so it's like a chip away build. I'm going to chip away at you, and then I might get that big bleed explosion, or you know, I might get a lifesteal fist on you and keep my health topped up while we're fighting. And it just makes for a really fun playstyle. Definitely one major drawback with handing a weapon down to a lower level build like this is that I missed the invasions in the new areas in the DLC. Obviously this build hasn't been into the DLC at level 40, and I obviously don't get access to those really nice new areas, those nice new legacy dungeons. I don't get invasions in any of those places, and that's a real shame, because on the higher level build that I've got already, that I've been invading with, invasions in the new areas in the DLC are absolutely fantastic. They're so good. The map layouts, the whole thing is just amazing. Invasions have been so much fun lately, and that's despite all the craziness that's going on with some of the weapons and some of the spells. Honestly, I don't care. I'm just having such a good time. I don't even care about all the broken stuff. The latest patch that happened has done a real good job. There's still a long way to go with it. There's going to be a few more patches to still, you know, level things out even more. But for now, it's early days, and I'm just having a great time. It's absolutely amazing. I'm so excited, guys, to get onto this new build and start invasions in the DLC area with the build that I'm playing on currently. I really want to tell you which build it is, but I don't want to give it away. Now I'm going to play through to a point where I'm happy to start invading, and then I'll get a video out with some initial invasions with the build that I'm currently playing through the DLC with. And yeah, it's going to be glorious. It's going to be glorious, guys. It's so much fun. It's so good. And then I've got plans for more builds. I've actually got plans to reinvigorate my Bloody Mary build. If you guys watched the last video I put out with my Bloody Mary, I think it's like a level 90 bleed build. It's a blood mage build, but it was really struggling. It didn't have enough poise. Its stats were too spread out. It was starting to really struggle performance wise and invasions. And I kind of declared on that video that that was Bloody Mary's swan song, and that build needed to change. But with the DLC, I've got some things cooking in my brain. I've got some plans to reinvigorate Bloody Mary. You know, I'm going to give her a bit of a makeover, and I've got a lot of things that I want to do to that build. So that's going to be next in line after the current playthrough that I'm doing. Oh, I've just got so many ideas, guys. It's going to keep us going for a long time. We're talking literal years worth of content here, guys. Years worth of invasion opportunities, years worth of build crafting. That is how much new stuff the DLC is giving us. It could take absolutely ages to fully explore all the things that could be possible now with all this new kit and all these new weapons. I'm not in any rush to just blast through every single weapon, blast through everything, every single spell. I don't see the point in doing that. All it's doing is spoiling it for future builds that I want to use certain weapons on. I could easily just, you know, take the build that I've already done the DLC with, level weapons up, respec. It's a strength faith build, the one that I've already completed the DLC with, so that opens up weapons that are holy infused, that do holy damage, that do fire damage. I could level loads of weapons up and just blast through loads of the new DLC weapons straight away and just put video after video out using new weapons. But then it's one video and then that weapon's done and dusted, isn't it? But I could just save that weapon for a build and a video that is much more suited to it. That is my plan moving forward with invasions from now on. I want to save weapons for the builds that they're really suited to. Again, that's another good reason why I've given this weapon to this build. I just think it suits it so well. I wouldn't want to have wasted this weapon on a build that it didn't really suit. I knew straight away that the Dragon Hunter's Great Katana would be so well suited to the Vampire. It was always going to belong to this build. So yeah, weapons deserve certain builds, and that's my plan moving forward. I've got so many different builds which are going to suit so many different weapons in the DLC. I'm going to save them and savour them, guys. That's my plan. Save and savour. I hope you enjoy watching the videos I've got coming out in the future plans. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Taking a look at this invasion now, this horse was being quite tricky. I managed to see off his summon earlier on, but between them it was quite a difficult invasion. I'm not sure if this horse was light rolling or not, but I was actually trying to chase him for ages and I was struggling to hit him, so I don't know if he was light rolling or if he was just doing a good job with his rolls, but it took me a while to kill him, but we got there in the end. I have to say at this point, guys, as well, I've just got back from watching England play in the quarterfinals of the Euros. I've actually recorded this audio in 2 parts. I had a little break recording just before this last section where I'm speaking now, and I went and watched England and we won on penalties, so my voice is sounding a little bit croakier than it did earlier on in the video. I'm a happy boy. We won on penalties and we're through to the semi-final, but as you can probably tell, my voice has took a bit of a battering because I was doing lots of shouting and screaming and stuff. But we won, and that's all that matters. So now, semi-finals next week, baby. Come on. What a day. Elden Ring Invasions and England win the quarterfinals of the Euros. Let's go, baby. Let's go. But this is the last invasion of the video, guys. This summon is about to get absolutely deleted. Level your vigor, son. What are you doing? That should not be one-shotting you, my friend. You need to sort your life out and sort your vigor out and sort your stats out. Level your vigor. Don't be a schmeagle. That is a lesson that we just learned, isn't it? That shouldn't one-shot anyone, but yeah, don't know what he was playing at. The host is fat rolling. It's all fun and games. Let's get this invasion done and get to bed. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, guys. Like I say, I don't think there's anything wrong with passing these weapons down to lower builds just to share the love, isn't it? Sharing's caring, and you've got to share the weapons out between all your builds. So that's what I've done. Look after yourselves, guys. Look after each other. I'll see you all soon for the next video. I'm actually going on holiday tomorrow for the week, so I've got a couple of videos pre-recorded, this being one of them, which will be out towards the end of the week. But look after yourselves, and I'll see you all on the next video.